So obviously yesterday was the second big march to rejoin the EU, and by all accounts it was, well, rather well not only attended but also quite successful. Unfortunately, it has been mentioned, I've seen in a couple of magazines and articles, and there are people talking about it, but of course there's the usual silence from Labour, the Lib Dems. You've had the leader come out and say, oh, no one's talking about the EU on the doorstep, and they are right at the moment, but that's another issue probably for another time, probably an entirely separate video I need to do, to be honest. But the big point here, and I wish I had mentioned this, because I was on the Labour social on the Friday, and I wish I'd mentioned this. I really wish I had. It was the fact, and I knew that would probably more likely GB News or some other right-wing provocateur or broadcaster would be there trying to get sound bites, anything, video they could to make and invalidate this march. And of course, it was GB News who decided to step up to that plate and try and get people onto this. So they sent this guy down called Ben Lau. And I wish I had said this. It doesn't matter if you can give 2-3 minutes of like the perfect the absolute gold-plated reason why we should rejoin the EU, refute any of this guy's arguments while he was down there, didn't matter. The fact is, you are not media trained. And I say that with all due respect. You are not media trained. This guy is. They've got the camera. They've got the editing power. If you gave like this perfect reason why we should rejoin the EU, doesn't matter, because they're not going to show that. They're only going to show like the couple minutes, the couple of seconds of you tripping over your words or something that they can get out of context, which we're going to hear from Ben in a moment, giving his quote broadside to the Remoners. Yeah, this argument that he's about to give isn't exactly, shall we say, a cutting broadside, shall we say. But we're going to sort of refute what he has here. But I wish I had said that on Friday when I was there on the Labour social, but I think it is worth repeating. And like I say, I am generally trying to be nice because, like I say, these people, when they get you, doesn't matter what you might say, they only need that couple of seconds of you saying something they can clip out of context, you fumbling over your words or something, or even that you just won't make the final cut. you know So I should have obviously spread the warning. Don't engage with them, even if they say, oh yeah, we're going to have an interview or whatever. You should not have engaged with them, should not have said a single word, and just said, sorry, not interested. That's what your response should have been to this guy. But now we have obviously that existing. But time to get on to what Ben said about, quote, the broadside. And to be honest, it's very easily refutable. Like I say, it's easy to refute what these guys say. As we're about to find out. So before we do go diving into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and one update link called Buy Me Coffee. We can, well, buy me coffee. There is also the YouTube thank you button and of course the Pony Club down below as well. So let's go jumping on into this. This is, of course, Ben Leo. He is the executive producer of Wooden Tonight. I would be avoiding any suspicious emails asking you for photos, Ben. We'll see how those shape out. But, anyway, yes. Anyway, what have you got to say to us, Ben? What have you got to say? What is your cutting remarks that you have to say to us, Remainers?
Look, in a week where Keir Starmer's been cozying up to Emmanuel Macron in France in a shady deal to betray 17.4 million Brexit voters, a meeting, by the way, brokered by the bad smell that won't go away, Tony Blair, These losers in London today saw fit to complain about a vote that took place 7 years ago. All they could complain about is airport queues. I haven't seen any of those, by the way. I think they're a myth. And bizarrely, how their tea cloths from Germany weren't getting delivered because of random custom charges. Now, look, my point is, you've lost the vote. We're not going back into the EU. Stand by democracy and get on board with Brexit. Because at the moment, Brexit's not been allowed to get started. It's been blocked at every turn by the civil service, politicians, the courts, and crybaby losers like these. So get on board with Brexit, Remoners. It's not changing. Get Britain booming again.
So there you had Ben's full thing. And we're going to go break this down. We're going to break this down piece by piece because this does deserve somewhat of a response to this. So let's go cracking on into what Ben had to say here. So his first, of course, accusation.
Look, in a week where Keir Starmer's been cozying up to Emmanuel Macron in France in a shady deal to betray 17.4 million Brexit voters, a meeting, by the way, brokered by the bad smell that won't go away, Tony Blair.
So here's the thing. First of all, he went over there to discuss doing a deal with France and the EU, which would help to sort out this immigrant problem that I think you complain, at least on GB News, at least hourly. You know, I think you can count it hourly every time you complain about immigrants on GB News. I thought you'd have been happy about Keir Starmer going over there trying to solve the immigrant problem. Apparently not. Then you accuse Tony Blair of being the smell that won't go away. Here's the thing. Tony Blair didn't crash the economy. He didn't take us out of the European Union. He didn't lie repeatedly and then lie to Parliament, lie to a committee, and then get charged for doing it. There are numerous, shall we say, ex-Conservative prime ministers within the past 6 years who are far, far worse than Tony Blair, and yet they won't go away. Prime candidate, of course, being Liz Truss. Don't think you have anything bad to say about her. But Tan continues.
These losers in London today saw fit to complain about a vote that took place 7 years ago. All they could complain about.
That's democracy. Sorry, Dan. You know, we are allowed to say, hey, we don't agree with that decision. Doesn't matter how long ago that decision might have been. We are allowed to complain about it. That's free speech. That's democracy. Something, again, I'm sure you love being a part of when it favors people are saying what you like. But apparently when people don't like, or at least when people are saying stuff that you don't like hearing said, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when free speech is a problem. That's when democracy, of course, becomes a problem. Very, very telling indeed, Ben.
Is airport queues. I haven't seen any of those, by the way.
I have seen these airport queues. I can tell you, recently going to Romania, I have a video, actually not a video, I have a photo of these airport queues. I'm going to Switzerland very, very soon in November. Will probably be airport queues, and there are numerous videos and photos out there of people showing these queues that we now have to queue in because of Brexit. They exist, and yet saying, I haven't seen them, so they simply don't exist. There are photos, there is video, there is more than enough evidence. You've just chosen not to look that evidence up. But that is a part of Brexit. And that might not sound very serious, but it's ruining people's holidays. They're having to spend sometimes, in some cases, hours in these queues because of Brexit, where we used to just be able to sail straight through. Because we were in the EU, we had freedom of movement, they were able to do that. Can't anymore.
I think they're a myth. And bizarrely, how their tea cloths from Germany weren't getting delivered because of random custom charges.
Here's the thing. It's not just, quote, tea cloths. It's everything. everything. I've covered on this channel numerous businesses that have lost large sections of their income, of their business, some of which has been 30 to 40%, as seems to be the average of what these British businesses have lost because of these custom charges. They are significant. This isn't a laughing matter. This has cost British businesses thousands, something which you guys said would never happen because we would stay in the single market and customs union. How did that go? Again, pretty important, but you're trying to downplay a serious hit to the UK's economy.
Now, look, my point is, you've lost the vote. We're not going back into the EU. Stand by democracy and get on board with Brexit. Because at the moment...
Here's the thing. Yeah, we lost. But we lost by 2%, which did not justify, and I will gladly make this argument. I will gladly make this argument to your face. 2% that you won by did not justify this hard Brexit that was delivered. It did not justify it. It did not even really justify doing Brexit in the first place, especially since you have seen, even after the Brexit vote took place, the numbers swing wildly against Brexit and people regretting their decision to vote for Brexit in the first place. We live in a democracy, and a democracy means that people have the right to change their mind, to advance these arguments. You know, Ian Hislop of Have I Got News For You made this point as well after in 2016. Just because you lose a vote or if you lose an election, the opposition just does not go away for 4 years and say, bye, we've got nothing else to say for the next 4 years. No, you are allowed to go on making that argument. That is what is living in a democracy is all about. And the thing is, you guys are losing the argument. You know full well you are losing the argument on Brexit, that it is not delivering any of your Brexit precious promises that you said it would bring. It's not improving the economy. We're not living in this Brexit utopia that you promised people it would, and people are realizing that because Brexit was sold as a promise to all these people who were in these left behind areas that this would improve their chances, improve their livelihoods. But it's not done that because that was never really what Brexit was going to achieve.
Brexit's not been allowed to get started. It's been blocked at every turn by the...
I love it. Blocked at every turn, and you'll hear him say the civil service. No, the civil service have not blocked Brexit. You could have had Brexit under Theresa May, but it was the hardcore extremist Brexiteers who wanted this hard possible Brexit, who still say that we have not Brexited hard enough, that we still haven't Brexited, that they are still demanding this hard Brexit, which no one wanted, that if they had been honest in 2016 and put forward to the British people, we want this incredibly hard Brexit, they would have never have won. Hence why it had to be sold as softly as possible to the British public, saying that, oh yes, we're going to stay in the single market and customs union. The civil service have done nothing but try to do Brexit because the people who are in charge, who are the Brexiteers, who have been in charge entirely during this time period, no one else, have had no clue what to do with Brexit or how to solve the problems that Brexit would bring up, which we talked about time and time and time again.
Civil service, politicians, the courts.
Politicians, who's been in charge? Very much so since 2016. It's been the Brexiteers, so you can't really blame Brexiteers. The courts have not blocked Brexit. All they said was, hey, you can't really prorogue Parliament. nor can you just trigger Article 50 without giving it a vote in Parliament, because it was, kind of important that Parliament should have a say, something which, parliamentary sovereignty was apparently meant to be a big thing about Brexit. But again, guess we're not when it's not, inconvenient for you.
And crybaby losers like these. So get on board with Brexit, Remoners. It's not changing. Get Britain booming again.
And here's the thing. Britain isn't booming, but that's what you guys promised that Brexit would be. It hasn't been this massive improvement. It will never be. It has blown a massive hole in our economy. We've closed ourselves off from our main market. You've got the fact that for 5 times in a row, the Conservatives, your current government, your pro-Brexit government, even Jacob Rees-Mogg, the most Brexiteest man in Parliament, or at least one of them, has delayed putting these checks on because they know the problems, the chaos this will cause to the British economy by doing this. And they have delayed this time and time and time again because they know they do not want people to realize, oh, this is Brexit. As a result, there have been a massive increase in smuggling. That is not taking control of your borders. That is a loss of control of your borders. You have these colossal white elephant port sites that have been built. Again, I thought GB News would have been all over this colossal waste of government money. Apparently not. So, I'm sorry, Ben, but this was hardly a broadside against Remoners or the people who were marching in London yesterday. In fact, if anything, it was incredibly pathetic. And to be honest, I don't think you would stand a single chance against any one of our big guns on our side, to be honest. Don't think you'd last a second in an actual debate, an actual discussion. Don't think you would do very well at all. But I don't think you would even dare do that. Or unless you had, shall we say, complete editorial control. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.